Hello, everybody. We're letting folks in from the waiting room, so of course it'll take a few moments. So just bear with us before we get started as technology catches up to our
What is the deal? When can we start drinking wine?
When? Like during the pandemic or during Hanukkah?
Tonight.
Anytime you want, Dan. Anytime. L'chaim.
I just wanted not to.
You're of age. It's a holiday. I see no problems here.
I agree. I didn't know if it was like you have to wait after candlelighting or something.
No, Hanukkah, we don't have many laws for Hanukkah. And I guess, that's the joy. Problem with it, we'll talk about it, as it can be a little confusing for some of us. Oh, beautiful. Look at all these great people that have logged in. So good to see so many students from all over. Hi, everybody. Sophie, nice crown. You can't see what it says. Oh, it says oy vey. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Beautiful. The Adelsons are here. So good to see everybody. Okay. Joyce, how are we doing? Are we good? I've gotten the thumbs up, so we can begin. Hello, everybody, and welcome to night 5. I had to check my Chanukiah in the background. It's night 5 of Hanukkah in our Jewish Life at Duke Hanukkah celebration. I want to welcome you. I'm Rabbi Ilana Friedman, the campus rabbi for Jewish Life at Duke. And as most of you know, Jewish Life at Duke is the home away from home for Jewish students, staff, and faculty at Duke University. And we're so excited during this wild year to be able to still figure out ways for us to connect and celebrate and be together as a community. And this night in particular, we're thrilled, as we've had so many great guests so far and a few great ones coming up. We're thrilled to have with us Professor Dan Ariely. For those of you who don't know, he is a professor of psychology and behavioral economics at Duke and is the founding member of the Center for Advanced Hindsight. He's the author of many bestsellers, including Predictably Irrational, and as well as an amazing TED Talk, and the co-creator of a film documentary that I highly recommend that blew my mind when I saw it, called Dishonesty, The Truth About Lies. And he's an Israeli-American trailblazer in the field of behavioral economics, and we're so thrilled to have him with us tonight to light candles and celebrate Hanukkah and talk about gift giving and all the drama that goes with Hanukkah and a behavioral economist view. So Professor Ariely, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you could show us your Hanukkah, because it's quite impressive.
Okay, so it's a little bit homemade, but I have 5 candles in a row, each of them by itself beautiful, and then I have a shamash on top of a salt shaker. I think it's great.
I think it's wonderful. My question is, do you have 8 candles for the next few nights, or is this it?
I got this for tonight, and I'll have to figure out something tomorrow.
Okay, so each night's an adventure in your home, I'm sure.
That's right.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to share my screen so folks can see the blessing. And if you have your Hanukkah at home, this is the time to light up our shamash. And Dan is going to light his Hanukkah. I think we could call it that. It's not Hanukkah.
Yeah.
It definitely is. So I'm going to light my shamash. Going to break a match. Every night we have match difficulties here. That's our trademark. In our menorah cam, I'll light. And we start, for those of you at home, as you know, we start with the newest candle first. So the 5th candle, and then we'll recite the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu Bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Amen. Dan didn't think about that the bigger the candle, the harder it is to light them. I didn't think about how that shamash is tricky.
I did realize it like about an hour ago, but
You're
I
making it
figured
work.
I figured it would be okay.
I'm quite impressed. You are making it work.
Hey.
All right, amen. So Professor Ariely, tell us a little bit about Hanukkah, your message for us this year. What should we think about?
Okay, so I wanted to make two observations. One being very simple, and then the other one a bit more complex. So, in Hanukkah, we talked about a miracle. The oil was supposed to last, like very small pot of oil lasted for 8 days. And I'm wondering, is this a metaphor or is this a real miracle? And the reality is that there are so many things in life that we just don't notice. Like, most likely before the oil was missing, nobody paid any attention to how much oil they had and how quickly it was gone. But when you have scarcity, all of a sudden you notice lots of new things. So maybe there wasn't really a miracle. Maybe it's always that a small pot of oil would last for 8 days. We just don't notice it. And I was thinking this, of course, everything is a metaphor now for Corona. But if you think about scarcity, there's lots of things we don't have a lot of. People in our lives that we see physically, time outside. I mean, all kinds of things like that. And do we get a miracle, not by outside intervention, but we have a miracle of all of a sudden noticing something that we didn't notice before? How important it is, how valuable it is, how long it lasts, how much it fulfills us, all kinds of things like that. That was point number one. The second point I wanted to talk about is to say something about scarcity in general. So again, there was scarcity, and again, and Corona time also, lots of scarcity. I'm not just talking about toilet runs. The people were afraid of running out of toilet paper. But scarcity turns out to be a very complex and unpleasant psychological state. So what happened with scarcity is that part of people's minds are continuously occupied with what this scarcity is all about. If you have very little amount of money, you think to yourself all the time, do I have money for dinner tonight? And how will I pay for rent? And how will I do that? And it turns out that this idea of scarcity mindset is about dedicating part of our brain to worry all the time. And by doing that, we diminish our own capacity to think about other things. So, it doesn't matter what you worry about. You worry about somebody sick, you worry about Corona, you worry about financial challenges, whatever it is. This is scarcity mindset, and it turns out to affect people very negatively. Some estimates are that it's equivalent to diminish IQ by about between 10 and 15 points. That's a big deal. You take this experiment I'll tell you about now was done in Student University of Chicago. They have to do some economic games. You give them some worries to think about, and they perform very poorly. And this happens over and over. And, we're celebrating victory and abundance and the oil. But I think at the same time, we need to recognize the other side of it. Like what happens when we don't have a lot, and how deeply is it affecting us? And what's very easy to say is when you don't have enough, whatever, you don't have it. You don't have enough time outside, you don't have it. But what is a little harder to understand is the psychological stress that this is creating, and that this effect of this psychological stress is not just on that domain, it's very, very general, and basically everything we do. A little bit depressing, but these were the two thoughts I wanted to start with.
Well, I think those are two powerful reminders for us. I think it lines up really well with the story of Hanukkah. I mentioned the other night that the notion that, they lit the oil and didn't know that it would keep burning for 8 nights, but had the audacity to try. And scarcity, for sure, sounds like can really be detrimental, but the notion that we can increase light in our lives, Hanukkah, we increase the candles each night with, the idea that hopefully things are not scarce in our lives. It's a hopeful holiday. So I think that message does resonate, and it's a good reminder for us to have a positive outlook, and it can affect us deeply. That's really beautiful, I think, in the end, even though slightly depressing. Professor Ariely, we have a few questions that we've been asking our guests each night, and then I have a couple that are particular to you, although, our guests have been answering some questions around this topic as well. The important question, the hard-hitting question that we need to know first is latkes versus sufganiyot, the jelly donuts. Which one first?
So for me, it's latkes. Okay. I don't know what to tell you, but it's latkes. I don't have a logic for it. But I did have a deep discussion with my daughter the other day, and she said that she's also a fan of latkes, and her name is Neta, but she prefers them with ketchup. And she said that she got a lot of bad looks of ketchup, but she said for some reason applesauce is fine, but ketchup is not. And she's worried that people are undertreating tomatoes. The tomatoes actually are a fruit, and she is insisting that ketchup is on the same par. She wants to elevate the role of the tomato in the Jewish tradition and to allow tomato sauce on that.
We have a new halachic ruling from Neta. The times I've met her, that sounds about right for her. She did find the afikomen a few years ago when all of the Duke students searched for a very long time in the Freeman Center, and Neta found the afikomen. She put them all to shame, I have to say.
Give me 1 second, I need a bit more wine.
Important to stay optimistic. Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay, good. Yes. These are hard questions. I understand. This is a lot of pressure. Are you sour cream or applesauce on your latkes?
Applesauce. But I have to say, I have a general dislike of sour cream. So it's not specific to that particular dish, just general preferences, not my thing.
This is an important question for an Israeli to answer. Hanukkah, when we transliterate it into English, with a CH or with an H? How do you spell Hanukkah?
I prefer the H.
Wow. Manyan.
Also, Mount Hermon, I've never seen spelled with CH.
It's true. That's a good point. I'll think about this, even though I'm a CH gal, but I'll think about this. And then our last kind of silly question before we get to some behavioral economics question. What's your favorite food that is fried in oil?
Favorite food that's fried in oil? Are we talking about any food fried in oil?
Any food.
So as an Israeli, of course, I have to pay tribute to falafel. It's almost immoral. It's almost immoral not to. Trying to think if there's anything more than that. Okay, so I will say in general, I would say falafel.
Mm-hmm.
But halloumi cheese is a serious contender.
Halloumi cheese, if folks have not had it, you can get it here in the States now. It's hard to find, but I think Trader Joe's actually has it, and it is delicious fried. Professor Ariely is in fact correct. It is so good. So that's a good one.
It's an interesting mix of cow and sheep milk, and what it is creating is a consistency where you fry it and it gets just this amazing, interesting consistency.
Yeah, it's like gooey, but not gooey. Now I'm hungry. Okay. So let's talk a little behavioral economics, since that's your field of expertise, although I had to know the food questions because I feel like that's our Jewish field of expertise. Tell me a little bit about some of the research you've done on gift giving. Hanukkah, as everyone knows, is the time we give gifts. And I know that that you have an opinion from your research about what makes a great gift. And we still have a few nights left. So help us, give us some tips on how to give some good gifts.
Okay, so first of all, a couple of things about gifts. Economists think about gifts as a waste of time. Imagine you came to my house for dinner and you brought a bottle of wine, and maybe you spend $30 on this bottle of wine. And from an economist, it's a waste of money because you don't know which wine I really like. So you might get me a wine I don't like. So in economic terms, what you should do is come to my house for dinner and say, Dan, thank you very much for inviting me. I was going to spend $30 on a bottle of wine. I don't know what wine you like. Here is $30. Go ahead and buy yourself the best wine money can buy for $30. And that will maximize the financial efficacy. I mean, you'll get the best, I will get the best one. But it would not get us closer in any way. Or another example, think about the undergrads. Imagine you're on a date. You're on a date, and imagine you paid for dinner and you paid for a drink, and you walk with your potential girlfriend to her apartment, and you walk up the stairs, and just before you lean to try and kiss her goodnight, you say, interestingly, I spent $123 on a date so far. How likely is this date going to turn out well? Now, not so much, by the way. There's some experiments you don't need to do. That's one of them. I'm not recommending this as an experiment. Now, what is happening here? What is happening here that gifts are not money translated into things. Gifts are a very different thing. If you came to my house for dinner and you gave me money, we would not become better friends. The point of gifts is not financial transaction. Like, you know, if there's somebody you give a charity, of course, and if somebody needs socks and you get them socks, that's fine. But gifts are not really about an economic exchange. Gifts are about getting people close together. And a lot of time we don't see it. And what we do is we don't risk enough. You know, people bring wine and chocolate and flowers and things that, like, I'm not giving you lots of value, but I'm not taking a big risk. I think we should give more complex gifts that create bigger risk, but have the potential to create better friendship. Like, you know, if I gave you a gift, even if you don't like it, but you think about me more, it's okay. Because again, the goal is not your taste, the goal is friendship. So if I gave you an ugly pillow, I actually have a relatively ugly pillow here that I got from a friend of mine. Not my taste, certainly not my taste. But you know what? I get to look at it and I think about my friend from time to time, and that's great. So gifts, I think, we're often wrong about gifts. We're often wrong about gifts. Gifts are about an opportunity to increase our friendship. It's an opportunity for other things as well, but it's mostly an opportunity to increase our friendship. And that's how we should think about it. Now, in terms of your question, I'll describe to you a little scenario. So imagine you walk down the street and you see a hat, and it's really curious, and you never had a hat, and you walk into the store and you put the hat on. It's a beautiful hat, and you never thought of yourself as a hat person, but this one you like. And you look at the price tag and you say to yourself, I can't possibly pay so much for a hat. So you leave it and you walk home, and you find out when you get home that your significant other bought you that exact same hat from your joint checking account. How do you feel? Right? Most people say, I would feel grateful. Now, you just decided not to buy this hat. Why are you happy with your significant other bought it for you? Because she took the guilt away. And, you know, there are lots of things we don't feel guilty about, like, you know, buying toilet paper. But there are things that we do feel guilty about. And the things that we feel guilty about, we call this the pain of paying. There's an extra feeling of unpleasantness. Maybe I shouldn't have bought it. And that's what good gifts are. Good gifts are gifts where we help people overcome their guilt. So things that are high on guilt, we buy. When my students graduate, I buy them expensive pens. You know, in this day and age, who cares about pens? We don't use pens very much. There's no reason for that. But you know what? From time to time, we need a pen. And you know, and writing with a nice pen is very, very different. Now, is it worthwhile financially to invest in a really good pen for the very rare occasion that we write? Not so much. But if somebody else buys it for you, that's good. Plus, if they have it, maybe they'll remember me. That goes back to the first point. So it's good as well. So the point is, I think we are basically risky. And we don't take risk in gift giving. And we should aim for bigger things that are more meaningful, can act to get us to be better friends, even if the other person doesn't like it. That's okay. And we should aim particularly for the things that people have guilt about.
It's a great guide for us in our gift giving. It's already night 5, so people still have 3 more days to turn course in case you haven't been following this advice, and maybe make some returns, but don't go into too many stores, because be safe. All right, last question that was submitted by a Duke alum, Ben Thier, submitted this question earlier today, and it's a great question and the ultimate Hanukkah question for so many of us. And it is about gift giving again, but assuming that money is equal, Ben asks, do people enjoy giving, or getting, I should say, 1 large gift or 8 small gifts? I never know the answer to this too, so I'm really excited to learn what we should do.
Okay, so first of all, let's think about happiness in general. When we think about happiness, happiness has 3 periods. There's anticipation, experience, and memory. Think about something like a vacation. Maybe you go on week, if you remember things like vacations. But you know, if you think about a vacation, you have anticipation, vacation, memory. Or you think about watching a movie that you're waiting for. There's anticipation, watching the movie, thinking about it afterward. From all of those things, the time of consumption is often shortest. Like with a movie, you wait for a long time, you see it for a short time, you remember, you have it later for a long time. So I think that anticipation is crucially important. And from that perspective, I think that 8 gifts are better, because anticipation doesn't scale with the size of the gift, right? It's not, let's just make it simple. Let's just assume you'll get 8 different bottles of wine. I'm not recommending it, but 8 different bottles of wine over 8 days, or you would get all 8 bottles of wine in 1 day. If you get to anticipate, you get that benefit of doing it. Plus, I think that if we said that a gift is a chance for us, for this moment of getting something, to say somebody thought about us. That's a very, very meaningful moment. And I think it's better to have 8 moments like this than have a bigger moment. So I would say 8 ones. Now, maybe I'll say something about wine. I don't think usually wine is a good gift. You know, it's an okay gift, but I had a friend in Napa called Bill Harlan, and I spend from time to time I go and I spend a day with him. He has a very impressive vineyard, one of the most expensive wines in Napa, and one day one year we spent a whole day together, and in the evening he gave me a bottle of wine that ended up being a really interesting bottle of wine. And here's what he did. He gave me this wine and he said, not this one, but he gave me a bottle of wine. And he said, Dan, this wine we picked when you were 30. When me, Dan, was 30. And he said, and Parker gave us 100 points for that wine. Perfect Bordeaux wine. And he said, I'm giving it to you now, and I want you to open it when you're 50. And, by doing that, he created a whole layer of meaning around that wine. I knew that wine was picked when I was 30. I kept it. I looked at it for a long time. It was just there. I could see it. And then after anticipating it for almost 6 years, I got to open it when I was 50. So when we give gifts, I think there is a layer of meaning. By the way, a layer of meaning can happen to anything. I can give you matches and tell you a story. So, I can say, here's a pen, plastic pen. And I can give you this pen, or I can say, you know what? I looked very hard for a pen that will be smooth. I know you write from time to time with a pen, and I really wanted to find a pen that would be thick enough to hold and would be comfortable. And I wanted one that has a separate place, a little soft to hold it in a comfortable way. And I really wanted to find ink that just comes out smoothly. And I thought about this pen, and I thought, when you write this, I really wanted to realize that I care about you, and I think about you, and I want it to be comfortable for you and flow smoothly. And that's how I want your writing to be. And here it is. Now, the same pen, no different. We can just add the layer of meaning. And you can say, oh, it's vaporware, it's nothing, it's placebo. No, it's real. Because if the person then think about it this way, then we gave them a much more meaningful gift.
I don't know about everyone else, but I really want that purple pen now. Like a really good pen. Yeah. Hold on to it for me. But that is such a wonderful idea with gift giving and like so much in life that there is meaning to be had. We just need to communicate it and articulate it and mean it and say it to people. So what a good message for us in Hanukkah and this dark time of year, that we can have good gifts to each other. Well, Professor Ariely, this was awesome. I know I've learned a lot, and I feel like I'm going to be a much better Hanukkah gift giver next year. God willing, we'll be able to celebrate in person in different ways and be able to give gifts to each other in person. But we're so grateful for you to spend this time with us and to light your Hanukkah candles with us with your amazing Chanukiah, and for being part of our Jewish Life at Duke family. We really, really appreciate you.
Thank you. And to all of us, this year is going to end soon. It's not over, but next Hanukkah will be a much better place.
That's right. L'chaim, Chag Urim Sameach. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night with Vice President of Student Affairs, Mary Pat McMahon. It's going to be an awesome night as well. So please join us, and we look forward to seeing you at night 6. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Thank you again.